Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're going to show you how to make a trap beat from scratch using FL11, and I literally mean from scratch. So we're going to start with the default template of the kick, clap, hat, and snare. Make sure there's no limiter on your master. So if you see something called a fruity limiter over here, just click the arrow and change it to none. Make sure you're at the default. Okay, now first we're going to start with getting the sound sources that we need. So we're going to right click the kick, replace it with a 3X oscillator. Next we're going to right click the clap and replace that with let's go with an O gun. And there's a cool preset in here. If you right click the presets, change it to Bellish. So we're going to use that in here as well. And we're going to pick some drum samples. But let me think. We're going to use the 3X oscillator mainly for, let's say, sub bass. We're going to use Bellish for the chords. We're going to add another 3X oscillator. So right click, replace with a 3X oscillator. That's going to be for our lead or our pluck. We're going to use FL keys for the piano, or actually we're going to use something else. So now let's open up the browser, view browser. We're going to collapse the structure to make it easier to see. Go to packs. We're going to go to instruments and keyboard. I want a grand piano, so we're going to go to grand piano, left click and drag that onto the snare. So we have a grand piano here instead of FL keys. It sounds a little bit different. So we can play chords like but we're not going to play those jazzy chords. We're just going to play higher voicing. Going to hit Control S to save. So again, I'm going to right click and rename these. This is going to be our bass. Bellish is going to be the bell. We're going to right click the second 3X oscillator. This is going to be the lead. Then we have the grand piano. Now we're going to pick out the trap drums. So since I'm going to make the kind of 808 bass with the 3X oscillator, we're going to pick out our drums just to be the kick and the snare. We're not going to use 808 samples. We're going to go to vintage, or let's go to legacy. Drums, vintage, and we're going to pick out our kick and our snare. This is from the 808 kit, excuse me. Right click, open a new channel. Here's the hi-hat we can use. Right click, add, open a new channel. I'm going to show you how you can make that crash a little more interesting. So open a new channel. Actually, we're going to use this symbol instead. So right click, hit D to delete, hit enter. We're going to get rid of that crash. See if we can layer with a hand clap. So we're going to right click, open a new channel. We're going to open that, use that open hi-hat, open a new channel. We're going to beef that snare up a little bit. Maybe even use this one. Okay. So now we have our drums. We're just going to program the drums, and then from the drums we're going to program the chords. From the chords we're going to program the melody, and then from the melody, or from the chords we're going to program the bass as well. So that's all we technically need from the browser. We could add strings, so let's go to orchestral and add brass. Of course you need brass for trap, duh. So right click, open a new channel. Let's hear what this brass sounds like. So it's not the type of brass you would expect for a trap. But we can probably dirty it up a little bit more. See what the woodwind section sounds like. We definitely don't need that, so I'm going to right click delete. And now we're just out to find good brass. So I'm not going to get into all that. Yeah, okay. Now there are sound fonts out there with pretty good brass. So you want to look for those sound fonts. They don't come with FL11. So we have everything we need so far. Just going to double click to get everything green. Go to your mixer, hit F9 if you have to. Go to insert one, right click, link selected channel starting from this track. Everything's in the mixer now, where we can control the levels or the volume. So we're going to lower the lead and the bellish, because I know all those 3X oscillator, citrus, all those type of synths are really loud right off the bat, especially bellish. So first I'm going to actually record the chords so we can get an idea for the track. Okay, we're going to turn metronome on, change the tempo to 134, and here are the chords I want to play. Or something to that effect. Or I could do and I'll show you the chords that we're playing. So let's record that. So I'm playing A minor and then B flat. So here's the chords: A at the bass, and then A, C, E, and then we're playing B flat, and then A, D, F for the B flat chord. Quantize that. So we have a steady kind of pattern. It's a little slow, but that's our chord base. Now we're going to click on the step sequencer button. We're going to go to pattern 2, change it to 8 beats per bar. We're going to left click in the playlist now so that it says pattern 2. If it doesn't say anything, fine, just we're going to fill it out in a second. Just going to plug the drums in. The snares are going to go on every other gray. So we have the kick and the snare as we like it. Now I'm going to go to pattern 3, or go to right click, find first new. And here we're going to add the percussion. So we're going to change it to 8 again. I'm going to rename these by right clicking, call this drums. Up here is the chords. I'm going to make this green. So we can see our chords are drums. Now we're going to add the percussion. We're going to make this pink or something. Okay. Now in the percussion, we're going to add the hi-hat, and specifically a hi-hat roll. We'll get to that in a second. And the cymbal. So we're going to add the cymbal first, and then the open hat. So to preview stuff, you want to add it in your playlist first, and then you can edit stuff while you do it in the step sequencer. Okay, so now we can right click the hi-hats, go to fill each 2 steps. Now we're just going to add where we want to have multiple hi-hats. Now everything sounds louder than it needs to be. So we're going to go to the mixer, hit F9 or the mixer button. We're going to lower the hi-hat, closed hi-hat, and then pan it a little to the left. We're going to lower that open hat and pan it to the right a little bit. We're going to lower that cymbal. You can pan it to the right or left, doesn't matter. Now again, when all the claps and the snares hit, they build up to a louder sound. So you want to lower each sound so that you get the majority of the sound. So we're going to lower the hand clap. Now to make this kick sound a little more cooler, first we're gonna little more cool. We're gonna open up the sample, go to Instruments tab, Volume, lower all your tabs except decay. We're gonna increase that a little bit. Then we're gonna go to Tension and then drag that tension down a bit. Next, we're gonna go to our mixer, hit F9, and we're gonna open up Fruity Wave Shaper. And we're just gonna pull this up until the kick gets to a point where we like it. Now we're also gonna lower the fader so that when it gets louder, it stays the same volume. So it sounds a little more punchy. Sounds a little punchier than it was before. Okay, now we're gonna go on to the, like I said, the drums. Then it goes chords. Then you go melody. So now we're gonna make the melody. Track 4, rename that melody. I should have picked the color. Let's go yellow. Whatever, doesn't really matter. Now the melody is going to go with the lead. Lead and melody are two different things, but we're going to build a lead. So we're going to go to lead, which is the 3x oscillator. Go to the plugin tab, change your shape to a pulse wave or a square. Lower the other volume knobs and go to miscellaneous, portamento, mono. Make sure these are active. Increase your slide a bit. So now we can play slides. If you don't want that much slide, just lower it. Now we're going to go to Instruments tab, where it's a built-in filter, so it's a low pass. We're going to lower Mod X, so it cuts out the high frequency, makes it smoother. So I'm going to record that, automation and score. Now we're going to record the automation and score. Alright, now we didn't even get into the 808 yet, but we're going to get there in a second. Slide these over. Now I didn't quantize this because it didn't really need to be. Now on the bellish sound, I want to give it more of an attack or a slower attack. So I'm going to open up the O gun and we're going to change this to the volume. This is our ADSR for the sound. So we're going to activate it and it should sound a little bit smoother now. If you want to make it more smoother, whatever, slide the attack knob over a little bit. We're going to pick this up. Change it to snap mode so you can move it around a little bit easier. Now this lead sounds a little obnoxious right now, but what we're going to do is go to the mixer and we're going to add Fruity Delay 2. This will give it a little bit of movement. We're just going to lower the volume and change the time to 4. It's a little too early. Let's change that to 8. Now to lower the delay effect, you want to lower the input volume. Now you can add a chord in here so it can go. Now I'm just playing D minor. So that's what I'm going to do for the chorus section. I'm going to copy and paste all these, Control A, Control C, Control V. And we're going to go to Make Unique on pattern 1, which was our chord. We're going to Control click, select pattern, change that to pattern 2. Now in pattern 2, I'm just going to add D minor. I'm going to record automation and score, play one D minor. Actually, I'm going to play them all. So it's just, we're going to play D minor in here. So recorded, never mind, forget what I just did. Hit Control Z. I was trying to record over pattern 2, not pattern 1. So let's do that again. Record automation and score. Now it might record, yeah, okay. So I know what it's gonna do. What we have to do is start a new pattern. So find next, first empty, and now we're gonna record D minor on top of the chords. So we're gonna right click, well, we don't really need to. Actually, yeah, we do. So we're gonna right click, insert one. It's gonna insert a new track. We're gonna name this chords 2 because we're gonna add that D minor. And here's where we're gonna add it. So we're gonna, you didn't really need to make pattern 1 unique. Just stretch pattern 1 all the way out, and then pattern, find a new pattern, right click, find first empty. Here's where we're gonna add the D minors. So it's not gonna interfere with the other MIDI. Also, you wanna, I was in the wrong octave. Now notice you can't hear the O-gun while we're recording because we're recording the same instrument. So slide these over and quantize them. We're going to shift these up 1 octave, hit Control A, Control up. Now we're going to get into the bass and then the brass, hopefully dirty that up. All I'm going to do is copy the square melody that we came up with. Actually, no, I'm not. Forget that. Okay. An easy way to do melody is just go to your chords, hit Control C to copy, find, right click, find first pattern, Control V to paste. And we're just going to use our chords as a guideline to make a melody. So right click your draw tool, make sure it's on none, snap to grid, put it on half steps. Now all we're going to do is use this chord A minor to figure out our piano melody. So we're going to do A, and we're going to go like an arpeggio style melody. Put it a better snap on here. Let's try half beat snaps. Let's hear this in the song. So let's put the piano down here. Make this cyan. Drag that up. Now we can leave the chords in there if you want. It's a piano, so it's gonna fit. But we're gonna do melody, so let's Control A, Control up again. Shift it up 1 octave. transpose it. Now, a cool thing to do is go up one chord and then go up another chord in the next. And just loop that all the way through. We're going to pan our lead to the left in our mixer. We're actually going to get rid of the lead. It's a little annoying. There's a time to add a lead and a time not to add a lead. So we're going to add it later. Maybe like right here, and that's it. Change this to pattern 6 or pattern 5, whatever our lead was on. Now it's time to add the 808. We're going to go into the 3X oscillator. Make sure it's on a sine. Lower your coarse knob so it lowers the octave of the sound. And what we're going to do is follow the chords just like we did before, but this time we're going to make a bass line. So let's go here, pattern 8. Open up your beats per bar. We're just going to add a rhythm. We're not going to actually make the notes yet. So I'm going to add this down here, 808. Let's make it red to match the drums. So it's going to be a constant tone right now, but we're going to fix it. So these are all going to be constant tones until we manipulate it a little bit later. We just want to get the timing right. Let's actually manipulate it first to hear it. So let's go Instruments tab, Volume, activate it, lower the attack, lower the decay, and this is going to determine how your 808 sounds. Okay, so you can have it short decay with a longer release, but with release you have to worry about the sounds overlapping. Okay, it can get muddy very quickly with that release, so be careful of that. An easier way is just turn your hold all the way up and just manipulate the bass that way. It's a lot easier. So that's the pattern we're going to use. Now we're going to right click, send to piano roll, Control A, drag these down to A. Now this last A, we're going to control click, hit control up to transpose it up an octave. Now we're going to make it a little more interesting. Go to miscellaneous, hit portamento and mono. Now since we have hold on, we can tell the 808 to stop at any point we want, so I'm going to make these notes shorter. Now the last 808 here, we can add another note down here, double click it, add slide. This will add a little cool effect. Also, you want to make sure you slide it about halfway over so it has time to play that top note. You can drop this down an octave if you want. Control down. Now we're going to get into the mixing. Oh, I forgot the brass. Excuse me. So the brass, we're essentially going to copy the chords again. Nothing too hard there. Control C, right click, find first empty, paste that into your brass. Now for the brass, we're going to get rid of all the empty, all the middle notes. So we're going to control click, get rid of these, hit delete. Whoops, delete once. Here's the brass. It sounds too like fun and happy, so we're gonna make it really distorted. So we're gonna go to the mixer, hit F9 if you have to. Pan the brass to the right. We're gonna give it fruity fast distort. Lower the mix level. Still sounds pretty clean. So we can add either B-type distortion, or you could add a filter. Let's do a parametric EQ2. Just gonna give this a low pass filter. Drag that down and drag it sharpness wise. Now we're gonna go to fruity fast distort and change it to B mode. And we're also going to give it a high pass filter. The brass is kind of irrelevant in this case, but whatever. Let's add the brass to the mix. You can make this more your own flavor, but I'm trying to make it simplified and quantized so people don't get lost. So now we're going to mix it. It's called mixing, meaning getting the sounds to have their own effects. So follow along if you'd like, but this is for more intermediate, so I can't explain everything in the one video. We're just going to work sound by sound in our mixer by right-clicking to solo. And then we're going to fix each sound. So this one we're going to make a little brighter by adding distortion or wave shaper. Let's go to wave shaper. Now I'm going to right click randomly in here to give it more of a distorted sound. For the bellish noise, we're going to open up parametric EQ2, give it a high pass filter, and slide the frequency over. Also, I'm going to put on Send 3, auxiliary Send 3 is going to be a fruity reverb 2. Now I can't explain how auxiliary sends work, so if you don't know, you don't know. Just follow along. Hit large hall, and we're going to tell bellish to mix into the large hall Send 3. So rename this large hall. So we're going to tell bellish, the knob down here allows us to mix bellish into the large hall. So it has more reverb when we call it up. Now make sure in the reverb you turn the dry level all the way down. So that's all we need to do for that. We're going to add a high pass filter to our piano. Do the same thing we did with the bell. And then we're going to route that to the auxiliary send 3. Just click, add that a little bit. Now here's the kick. After Fruity Wave Shaper, we're going to add a parametric EQ2. We're going to add a high pass filter with a sharp curve. Cut out anything below 50 Hertz, and we're going to boost at around 100 Hertz. As well as give it a low pass filter and cut out all the extra stuff. Here's the hi-hat. Again, you want to get rid of those low frequencies that you don't need. High pass filter does that job. Slide that over. You could add a little bit of the hall reverb on here. Just a little bit. Let's go to the cymbal. Again, the same exact thing. You could even go to the hi-hat, left click, save preset as, and left click and drag it onto the cymbal so it has the same high pass filter. Then you want to give it a little bit of hall reverb. Here's the clap. Again, the clap doesn't need bass in it, so we're going to get rid of all the low information. We're going to give it a little bit of reverb again. Same exact thing. Left click and drag this over. Now for this snare, it has a little bit more of a bassy type sound. We're going to give it a high pass first with a sharp curve. Cut it right off at the lowest frequency, and then we're going to boost right here. Cut the little mid, like the gap right here, and then we're going to boost up here. Now I'm going to run it through a Fruity Wave Shaper to give it a little more power. Lower the fader because it's too loud. There we go. Now I want to tune the snare. So I'm going to unlock the chords. The snare is not tuned to the track. So we're going to click on the sample, go to the pitch knob, and we're going to raise it up. Now it's tuned. And that makes a huge difference. Here's the other snare, the bouncier one. I'm going to compress this after I run it through Fruity Wave Shaper. So increase the thing again. Now we're going to compress it. Whoops. Fruity compressor. Threshold about -20. The attack about 13 milliseconds. 2 to 1 or so. And add 2 dB of gain compensation. This is going to make it less dynamic. It's still pretty weak, but that's the point. Now you can feel how everything sounds way more controlled now that we mixed it. Doesn't sound so loose. Here's the brass. We already mixed it technically. Just gonna give it a little bit of hall reverb. And let's hear it. Let's hear everything now. Giving the lead a little bit of reverb on the lead. Forgot that was in there. Now if it's a little too much high end on your bass, that 808, you're going to add a parametric EQ2, add a low pass filter to chop off the high frequencies. So it's a little more contained. Now we're gonna do a little what's called stereo separation on each of these sounds. If you don't understand it, fine, just follow along. The bass is gonna be mono, so we're gonna drag it to the right with the left click, so it's in mono. Same with the kick. We're gonna drag that. If you don't see this view, you wanna go to the drop down view. You only want big meter. You don't want those other options like wide tracks. It's too big, it's unnecessary. So now the kick and the 808 are mono. We're gonna spread the bells a little bit by dragging this left separated. It's about 30. Piano, we're actually gonna make the mono. And we're gonna pan that a little bit to the right. Hi-hats, we're going to separate them a little bit stereo-wise, give them a little bit of width. Anything you want to give width to, you drag to the left. Anything you want to make mono, drag to the right. So cymbals and hi-hats, you're going to give them a little bit of width. Claps, snares can be mono. Depends on, you know, how you like it. Now the brass is going to be spread. Now we're going to work on what's called the master, or the two bus. So we're just going to make this a complete type of track. First we're going to open up Maximus. You're going to right click the presets, go to default. All we're going to do is give everything stereo separation. So we're going to tell the monos, the lows, I'm going to solo. We want everything low to be in mono, so to the right, merged. The mids, we want to spread those out. Highs, you want to give a little bit more stereo separation. Go to Fruity multi-band compressor. Just follow along. I can't explain everything I'm doing, it'll take forever. So lower the ratios, and we're going to slowly increase the ratio until we see red. We're going to add that gain back that we took away with compression. Happening, and we're getting underrun, so go to audio options. You want to right click to reset that. It's going to sound a little more lagged, but I mean, you're not going to get those clicks. Now we're going to add the Fruity Parametric EQ2. Again, just follow along. We're going to add a low pass and a high pass. So that's the high pass, here's the low pass. Really sharp steepness, and we're going to drag the high pass down at to 30 hertz. The high went up to 18,000, and now we're going to boost and take away where we need to, you know, to get the song leveled. We're going to lower it at 250 hertz a little bit. Use a high shelf. So use the top function here. This is the high shelf. We're going to boost that at around 6K or so. And we're going to boost the lows at about 100. Now we're going to add a Fruity limiter. You could use Maximus if you'd like. Here's where we make everything louder. So, you know, watch your earbuds and watch your monitor. Ceiling's gonna be -1 or -3 actually. Actually -1, let's go -1. And then we're just gonna push the gain until it gets loud enough. Basically make a trap beat from start to finish, from composition to mixing. Again, drums first, chords, melody, then the bass, and then you want to get into the mix, or that's the composition phase. Then you want to get into the mixing stage and the mastering stage. So we teach all that kind of stuff at busyworksbeats.com and go into way more depth than I did here, and we use all types of plugins, not just the default plugins. And you can get better sounds right now through our new product X at busyworksbeats.com, which has over 150 drum sounds, presets in there. You could check the page out. So lots to offer in there to get you started with a harder sound than these sounds in here. Also, please subscribe if you're new. Please like the video if you thought it was good, and please share with your friends and get the word around, because we're the best in town. So thanks for, you know, watching our YouTube channel, and thanks for everything. So it's busyworksbeats.com. Go get your free trial membership where we teach you tons of things at busyworksbeats.com.